She says, Jim, you have stage 4 metastatic prostate cancer. Cancer was the hardest thing I ever had to go through. I worked all over the country, worked very dangerous jobs, oil platform in the ocean, tunnel boring machines, oil refineries, powerhouses, grain elevators. You had to be fearless to do what I did. In cancer, it's hard to be fearless.
Jim, thank you so much for joining us.
I'm glad to be here. I feel it's important that we really let other people know what's going on because I've done a lot of research. It's very hard to find. I just feel it's important for men to know about their health because it's this devastating disease that men need to be aware of so they can have a fulfilled life even after the disease.
And we're so grateful that you wanted to have this conversation with us. And so, Jim, let's go back to the beginning for you. What symptoms were you experiencing? What were the red flags for you prior to the diagnosis?
I had two major red flags. All of a sudden, I had a limited urine stream, and it just came on suddenly. And then I had persistent back pain. And then I was tired. I mean, and I wasn't just tired, I was exhausted. Even though I was sleeping well and eating well and everything, I just, I could not get enough rest. I was working out of state and I came home because the project was finished and very much looking forward to seeing my wife. I've been away from home for 3 months. I immediately made an appointment with the doctor, and that's how it occurred. We did a PSA test and found out my PSA was 114.
What else do you remember about those initial doctor's appointments?
Well, the first test was a biopsy of the prostate, and a little bit of humor here. I'm standing at the desk to check in, and the gal's asking me all these questions I'd filled out online. And I said, "Why are you asking me these questions when I already answered them all online to do a pre-check-in?" And she looks at me, she says, "Well, Mr. Duffy, we want to make sure that you are who you are." I said, "That's the guy I want to be. I want to be I wanna be the surrogate for the guy getting a prostate biopsy. Yeah, I'm the guy who wants to go through that." I said, "No." So I am really the guy.
We love your humor.
I mean, you have to have it because this is serious business, and if you want to have it, like we said before, to consume your life, then you need to have the humor and you need to research and what your experience is things that most people have no idea what's going on. Medical field does, okay? But the common person has no idea what they're gonna go through. After the biopsy, um, I had a follow-up of with the urologist, and he says, "Look, Jim," he says, "You have a pretty serious condition here. You you need to get treatment." And he goes, "When you wanna start?" And I go, "How about right now?" So he got his nurse to come in and gave me 2 shots in my abdomen, and then I was referred to the oncologist, and I had a bone scan, and I had lesions all over my body. They ranged from my pelvic area to the top of my head, and I had them a lot of my rib cage and in my spine. So then we finally go see the, radiology oncologist, and she says, "Do you have pain?" I said, "Well, I don't have any pain right now, but I've had pain in my back." And she says, "Well, I don't think I can relieve you of any pain. And that's my basic job right now is to relieve you of pain." So I said, "What do I really have?" She says, "Jim, you have stage 4 metastatic prostate cancer. And you have 2 to 5 years to live." And my wife just lost it. It just wasn't crying. It was sobbing and rocking. Just, she was beside herself, just complete. There was nothing I could do to console her. I tried. It didn't do any good. It was just devastating to her. I'm a real matter of fact and real clinical person. I heard what the words were, but it didn't sink into me, the seriousness, until I could go home and research and study, because the doctor knew exactly what they were talking about. I had no idea what they were talking about. It didn't make any sense to me. At that point in time, I had never heard the word metastatic. It was never in my life before. So I went home, and then when I researched it, then I realized, I think this is pretty serious. I just can't take this as a brush off. All my life, I powered through everything. So I left that office and I was ready to go see the oncologist, my regular oncologist. Then what happened was that he did the assessment of me and he says, "Look, Jim, this is pretty serious. We're going to have to really throw everything we have at it with the kitchen sink, and then we're going to add in a bag of chips on top of it. So are you up to it?" And I said, "Sure, I'm up to it."
When you got that prognosis, that 2 to 5 years, you said something that was so impactful, and that was, that's not good enough.
Because we're there, and he says, "Jim," he says, "this is pretty tough and all that." And keep in mind, because I'm a AAA personality, I stuck my finger out and I pointed at him and I said, "That's unacceptable. We're not going to go there. You've got to work harder and I'm going to work harder. You tell me what I have to do, and you make sure that you study or talk to other colleagues." I pushed the issue, and I wasn't rude about it. I wasn't saying, "Hey, you're a dummy, you don't know anything," because that's not what I mean. My doctor is my partner. He's not my God. He's not the say all, do all. He's my partner.
Jim, what has your treatment plan looked like since your diagnosis?
I went through the radiation treatment, and it was really a piece of cake. It wasn't anything. But the thing about it that people don't know is that you get tattoos from it, because they put tattoos on you on your abdomen to align the radiation machine. I learned that the radiation is very precise. Then I learned that the chemotherapy and everything is very precise too. I started my abiraterone and my Lupron therapy, which is hormone therapy. And then shortly thereafter, I started my chemotherapy. And I took Taxotere, and Taxotere wasn't hard on me. It was not bad. I would come into I'm a pretty friendly and outgoing person anyway, but I'd say hello to everybody. "How are you? Everything going okay?" And I'd sit in the chair, and the snack and drink gal would come by and said, "You need to come see me. It's time for me to have my orange juice and my shortbread cookies. I got to have them." So it was, I made it a very, I'm not trying to use the wrong term here. I made it a joyful thing to go get the chemotherapy, because I saw it as a means to the end. I was getting ready to take my third chemotherapy because they were 3 weeks apart. Dr. Hagagat comes to me and he says, he comes into the infusion center and he goes, "Jim, I had to talk to you." He says, "Things seem to be going very well. And I'm convinced you're going into remission right now." I mean, I understood it, but our job was to be in complete remission and have basically a 0 PSA.
What do you remember about the conversations with your care team about hormone replacement?
This is not going to be fun, Jim. This is not easy. This is difficult. The best way I can explain it is, I'm not a man. I'm not a woman. I really don't feel that way anymore. I feel that I had to grasp my manhood and who I was.
I know recently you and your doctor made a decision together that you were going to take a hormone replacement treatment break. And so, can you talk to me about that decision and how the break is going for you?
My emotions were overtaking my logic. And I was sleeping 12 hours a day, a night, and was unrested. I didn't have any rest. I was weak. I was frustrated. I told my doctor, I said, look, dying would be easier to do than what I'm doing now. I mean, it'd be easier.
Yeah.
Not that I want to die. And I said, I'm tired of so many things in my life that I can't do anymore. My hormone therapy made me totally impotent. And I told him, I am sick of the thought that I'll never have the ability to make love to my wife again. It hurts me. It's deep. It's part of a man being a man. Okay? It hurts me that we're walking down the sidewalk and I can't in my mind know that I'm the strongest one there because I don't know. If there was some danger, I would be in question of whether I could protect her or not. That all those feelings come and then I react upon them in an emotional way. I said, I've had it. The message I left him is if I quit my therapy, how long would it take me to die? I want to know, is it going to be a year, 6 months, 2 years? What's it going to be? Because I've had things to do to prepare for my death, to prepare for my wife, so she has an easy transition. Okay? That has nothing to do with being sorry for oneself. That's me planning. That's being the Marine and the union electrician in me. Yeah, I went to military school in junior high and high school, ROTC training, very disciplined. Then I went in the Marine Corps for 6 years, and I was in during the Vietnam era. So then I went in the electrical apprenticeship. So then I worked all over the country, worked very dangerous jobs, dangerous and hard work. Cancer was the hardest thing I ever had to go through. It's not only physical, but it's emotional. My point being with that is you had to be fearless to do what I did. And cancer is hard to be fearless. Strikes you hard. My example of that is I say that cancer he is the dragon. And he's out to devour you every single day. A day doesn't go by, your eyes pop open, and the dragon's there. Okay, he's wanting to chew on you. And it's your job that you have to spit in his eye and tell him, get away from you. You're not going to accept that fate. I told him, I said, I don't know how much more I can take. He says, Jim, let's take a break. I said, okay.
You mentioned that intimacy with your wife, Barbara. How have you two navigated that?
The way it affects you emotionally is you wonder, here I am, I'm married, and is my wife going to accept me? Are other people going to accept me? Are they going to love me? Are they still going to care about me? They're going to be afraid to touch me. I mean, all those things are all present. There's times you can wake up, and I mean, I'm not a crier. But there were times I'd wake up in the morning, and the overall thing was so overwhelming. I had to shed a few tears. I sat on the edge of the bed, and I had to shed some tears because uh, um, you're in the big leagues now with this. I told my wife, I said, I really miss the intimacy that we had. Now it's cut off. And I told her, I said, I miss the intimacy with you. We've got to discover how we can be intimate again. So we have discovered our form of intimacy. It doesn't involve intercourse, but we have that closeness. It's not a give up, give all away. It's not. And I can say this truthfully, cancer has made me softer, made me kinder.
Jim, my last question for you is, if someone was watching your story, what would be your biggest advice to them?
Best thing I can say, and it's a combination of Marine Corps training and being a union electrician and doing what I did for a living. Life is not fair. Life has obstacles in it. You have a chance to fight that problem that you have in your life. I don't care your status. I don't care your belief in God. I don't care how much money you have or how cool you think you are or how good looking you think you are. Cancer doesn't care. It doesn't care. You need to advocate for yourself, and you need to do it yourself to prove to yourself cancer is not winning in your life. If you want to go home and sit in the chair or sit on the couch, it's going to destroy you and it's going to consume you.
We want to thank Jim so much for sharing his vulnerable story with us. If you were inspired by his story, we've queued up another one for you here. And please make sure you subscribe to the Patient Story community, where we continue humanizing cancer one story at a time, and always reminding people you're never alone.